Maimonides began as a shelter in 1910. It was called the Hebrew Sheltering Home on Evans Street. 6 residents in need received shelter, nourishment, and the comforts of a Jewish home. By 1923, a second home located on City Hall Avenue opened with the name of its founders, the B&S Steinhaus Old People's Home. In 1927, encouraged by the newly formed Federation of Jewish Philanthropies of Montreal, an agreement was signed between both homes to raise funds for the construction of a larger building on land owned by the sheltering home on Esplanade Street. By 1945, there were 145 beds. The demand for more beds kept growing as Montreal's Jewish community thrived and aged. The new residents admitted now had an average age over 80. When the home's executive director, Nathan Deskin, appointed his son Archie as his assistant, it was already a family tradition. They'd lived in and created a Jewish home for residents that continue to abide by Judaic customs and traditions.
What was different were the Judaic values that many of us brought to our job. My father's unique contribution was his way of dealing with the families. It was absolutely heartwarming.
But the Esplanade home was taxed beyond its capacity with very limited space. With the provincial Medicare plan still 8 years away, they tried to provide additional services to residents who suffered from dementia. What was suddenly needed was more than shelter. By 1959, it was clear that the facilities of their 1928 building were unable to meet the increasing demands for long-term care. Discussions ensued to develop a modern building in the heart of the new Jewish community in the west end of the city, complete with a new name, Maimonides. With $3.5 million raised from the Jewish community of Montreal, along with federal and provincial funding, this modern institution now stood in the heart of Côte Saint-Luc. It was an architectural achievement with lots of room to grow. Resettled residents could hardly believe their eyes. Executive Director Lou Novick headed up the relocation and transition period. Maimonides grew and prospered. By 1990, coping with the costly demands of an ever-expanding staff and more advanced services, it was becoming evident that Maimonides was in need of a new strategic direction. After much discussion, the board elected to restructure. A new executive director, Barbara Gold, was hired to put a new vision in place. With Barbara at the helm, a new spirit began to take root. Archie Deskin rejoined Maimonides as a board member to help bridge the past with the challenges ahead. A new era heralded the transformation of the physical space to improve the quality of day-to-day life of the residents. New ideas on geriatric care took hold.
It was clear that what we needed to do next was address the quality of life of our residents. We quickly realized that the answer was all around us. By focusing on our residents and their families, really figuring out what they needed to feel safe, to feel whole, we'd be addressing our greatest challenges.
One of the signs in the corridor says, "More than care," and that is absolutely true.
Maimonides' 450 volunteers felt the wave of the new philosophy as well.
After volunteering for years at Maimonides, I've learned that smiling and touching and holding a hand is very important.
It's all about Jewish heart. We care about our elderly. It's just something we feel, something that's in us.
There is an awareness amongst the staff that we're like their family. For many residents, we really are their family.
If someone were to ask me where to place someone who needs care, I'd certainly say Maimonides. It's a wonderfully warm place. We are a family.
I say it all began at the Old People's Home on Esplanade. History is absolutely essential to the understanding of what is happening now and what we should be doing going forward. Maimonides has become one of the most outstanding institutions in terms of what they offer the residents, by giving each and every resident the opportunity to live their best life to the end of their life.
To all those who have come before and worked at Maimonides, we celebrate this 100th anniversary in your honor. We thank you for your dedication in helping to shape the history of Maimonides with your efforts.
We also want to pay homage to the strong leadership of today, to the devotion of its entire staff, its wonderful foundation and auxiliary, and its dedicated volunteers for their commitment and tenacity in making Maimonides the center of excellence and, more than care, that it has become today.